silent pump. Everybody's dancing in the moonlight. Feeling my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart. I can tell where the journey will end, but I know where to start. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. Wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. Nothing is as it has been, and I miss your face like hell. And I guess it's just as well, but I miss your face like hell. Rivers and roads, rivers and roads, rivers till I reach you. Rivers and roads, rivers and roads, rivers till I reach you. Rivers and roads, rivers and roads, rivers till I reach you. Rivers and roads, rivers and roads, rivers till I reach you. Rivers and roads, rivers and roads, rivers till I reach you.
Can I begin the afternoon by thanking the a cappella choir? Always wonderful, always rises to the occasion, and they do it all themselves. There's no staff input, of course. They run it themselves, and it's always fantastic. So thank you very much. And you may have noticed the foghorn actually joined in then and gave us a bit of a background bass noise. Welcome to our Leavers Assembly. I'm John Wormsley. I'm the principal, and I will be taking us through this. We've arranged some sunshine for the day, so I hope it's not too hot in here. But the breeze should blow in from the channel through the gaps in the tent on the side there. I'm going to start off today by introducing our guest speaker. Our guest speaker is Henry Foy, and I'll just tell you a little bit about him. Henry is an Atlantic College alumnus from 2004 to 2006 from the Isle of Man. Fellow Isle of Man person there, I think. Henry resided in Sunley and was the editor of Ink. He also played for the rugby team and was a lifeguard. After AC, he spent a year in India working for a magazine in Delhi, before 3 years at the University of York. where he graduated with a BA in English and philosophy. He was hired out of university by Reuters, the news agency, where he spent 1 year in Delhi and 2 years in Mumbai. Previously the Financial Times award-winning motor industry correspondent, Henry is now the Financial Times Central Europe correspondent based in Warsaw. He covers Poland, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, and the wider CEE region for the world's most trusted financial newspaper. Henry writes about the unfolding political, economic, and business stories, delivering a global perspective on one of the world's fastest developing and most interesting regions, and recently has been reporting on the Polish elections, the return of European business activity to Iran, and migrant rights in Europe. Henry Foy.
Thank you, John, for that kind introduction. I see absence has made senior management's heart a little fonder in my regard. Officially, I think I'm still in a principal's warning unless they expire. To the class of 2015, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, first years, good afternoon. It is a privilege and a real honor to be with you all today. It's been extraordinary being back here, seeing so many old faces, but actually more striking is seeing so many new ones and it feeling exactly the same. First, I must apologize. Your second year has heard from the president of the Hague Institute for Global Justice. I, on the other hand, am merely a jobbing writer, a hack, no less. But while he may be more accomplished in prosecuting dictators, fostering peaceful dialogue between warring nations, I bet he's never spent the night in the castle, scaled the ramparts, and watched the sunrise from the top of the Lady Anne Tower. Not that I would condone that activity. It's been 9 years since I did that, on the morning of my last day here. And the memories of the smiles on the faces of the people I did it with have never left me. On my first day here at Atlantic College, the then principal, Malcolm Mackenzie, in the Tithe Barn, addressed us all. He said, "Do not worry about classes or homework for the next few months. Instead, meet a person from a country you've never visited, learn about a religion you've never heard of, speak a language you've never heard." I'll never forget those words, and neither should all of you. But what I realize now is that Malcolm misspoke. He didn't mean the next few months, he meant forever. When I left this castle with far too much hair, chronic sleep deprivation, and utterly shameful Spanish, no matter what the IB tells me, Almudena, if she's here, I apologize, I realized I wasn't done with exploring. Exploring takes many forms. It can be geographic, meeting new people, new lands, or it can be socially, culturally. You'll all be amazed when you leave this place how you see the world differently. And some of the most amazing things might be on your doorstep. Now, I'm from the Isle of Man, so on my doorstep is lots of sheep and a few old age pensioners. So not a lot else. So I went to India, to Delhi, as we heard, and taught my way into a job at a magazine. I wrote a little, I edited a little, and I learned a huge amount. After university, I went back to India as a reporter. I spent 3 years in one of the world's greatest countries, and perhaps its greatest city, Bombay. From there, you guys aren't cheering as much. From there, I joined the Financial Times, spent a year in London, and 12 months ago was asked to go to Warsaw in Poland to cover Eastern Europe's frontier and all the fascinating people and stories that are based there. Now, don't get me wrong, the Financial Times is no Inc., that towering journalistic colossus of Atlantic College. But I try each and every day to apply the things I learnt here to the job that I do. As a journalist at a global newspaper, journalists don't have the best reputation at the moment. But I see my UWC mission in telling the stories of those who don't have a voice. Whether that's the story of Indian villagers living on the banks of the Ganges, watching as their great river is polluted, or the Roma population of Central Europe, bullied into schools, segregated schools by xenophobic politicians, or the Ukrainian migrants in central Warsaw who shake with fear at the thought of being deported back to the Donbass. A piece of reporting that will never leave me was the days I spent with Indian cancer sufferers on the pavement outside one of the best hospitals in Bombay, a city where some of the world's richest people live. 3 minutes from a private members golf club, a short walk from one of the world's best hotels, people were sleeping, eating, and dying on the pavement. They were desperate for the hospitals to let them in. India's public health system, like other countries, is woeful and underfunded and structured in a way that those at the bottom can't always get the access they need. It was a tremendously difficult story for me to report. I was 22 years old. They saw me walk in and out of the hospital to talk to officials, to talk to managers, to talk to doctors, and when I spoke with them, they would give me their documents, their x-rays, and say, "Can you take these in? Can you speak to these people?" I felt useless, powerless. What use me writing a story that someone might glance over breakfast or read on the bus home? But others were moved by the mere interest that I'd shown in their situation, that I would care enough to spend time with them, that I wanted to tell the world about their plight. So I did tell their story, and the story of the colossal drug companies that negotiate the costly deals with the government, and the politicians and bureaucrats in New Delhi that know the system they run is woeful, but continue to allow it to happen. I tell you this story because it made me realize the scale of the challenge that we set ourselves as UWC graduates, to change the world, to make it a better place. I'm sorry to break it to you all, but Kurt Hahn was a terrible liar. This school cannot change the world. Neither can its far inferior sister schools. Unfortunately, it's just not that easy. But here's the thing. All of you guys can change the world if you keep this school with you when you leave. You must know that you are not alone. You're about to join a peaceful army of UWC graduates that gets stronger and more diverse every year. Some of the most incredible people in my life today are other UWC students that I met after I graduated. You know that feeling that overwhelmed you in the day room on your first day, when you met people that seemed like they'd been built to be your friends, that they'd been made in a test tube specifically to be your friend? That doesn't end here. Out there in the real world, other UWC graduates sparkle like diamonds too. You can spot them a mile off. They're the one at the party that everyone wants to talk to. We've all been so incredibly fortunate to have experienced these magical 2 years, and it's our duty not to forget that. In March, I went to Moldova and spent 4 days in the rural areas of Europe's most poorest country, investigating why and how tens of thousands of children every year are abandoned by their parents who emigrate for work. I met teenagers that hadn't seen their parents since they were 3, or parents that had chosen to leave their children in institutions designed for children with disabilities. It was impossible for me as I interviewed these beautiful, bright, engaging children not to think of how lucky I have been to have been selected, funded, and coached while I was at AC, and of the incredible opportunities that have arisen from it. So many young people would give anything for the 2 years that you've just finished. So don't let them go to waste. Run with gutso through every single door that opens after you leave this campus. Leaving. I know, the last days are swift and cruel. You've barely put down your pen in the Spanish ab initio exam before they turf you out into deepest, darkest Wales with nothing but a suitcase of ill-fitting hoodies. I've still got them. You're on the road to Cardiff before you can say resit, blubbering over the pages of your yearbook and trying to explain to your parents through streams of tears what the story is behind that naked picture of you and your dorm mates. But what I've learned over the last 9 years is that Atlantic College doesn't end here. It doesn't end today. I know the temptation is to see these 2 years as the most beautiful, magical, unique years of your life. You want to put them in a box. You want to tie them up tight, put them under your bed and keep them safe. I would urge you all not to do that. Firstly, no one will ever take them away from you, and you'll never replace them. My memories of this place are as vivid today as they were in May 2006. And most importantly, these 2 years, this experience, and the people that you've met here, that you have shaped, and that have shaped you, they must be tattooed on your forehead. They must be painted on your cheeks. Atlantic College should be the smile on your face when you set foot in a new country. It should be the handshake when you greet a new friend, or the hug when you comfort someone. Atlantic College should be the chat-up line when you meet that special person. The brave conviction, the determined stare, when you tackle all the challenges that lie before you. Do not be afraid of the things you have learned here about yourself and at others, even though many people out there won't understand them or appreciate them. Wear them with pride, spread them as far as you can. They're the most powerful bits of knowledge about the world you will ever possess. It's your duty to share what you've discovered here. Do not keep it to yourself. Continue to bridge the gaps in geography, opinions, and politics that lie ahead of you and inside you. No chasm is too wide, apart from the ones you choose not to attempt to cross. And never lose contact with the people that sit beside you today and have held your hand throughout this adventure. Look around you. Greet the people next to you again. Remember their faces, because they will be the leading lights in the next decades. They will be the change makers, the activists, the thinkers that make this world an even better place. My best friends today are the people I met here in this castle, in those day rooms and on this grass. They never stop amazing me. Wherever you go and whatever you do, the friends you made here are the ones you'll need most in the battles ahead, and the ones most likely to look after you when it all goes wrong. You all came here because somebody saw in you the ability, the talent, and the gifts to make a difference. This school has hopefully given you the direction, the courage, and the inspiration to do just that. And as you start your journeys as UWC alumni, never forget that there are thousands of us already out here, looking out for you and willing to help you on that mission. You're all now part of the world's best members club. Don't ever forget it. Use it, and use it for good. Good luck. Thank you.
Can I thank Henry for his entertaining, his very wise and very important words that he gave to you today, that you are becoming one of that great group of people who are UWC graduates. And this is just the start of the adventure. Thank you very much, Henry. Thank you. I'm now going to introduce Sankalp and Ben, who are going to talk about Stephen Cox, who's our Chair of Governors, who's standing down from that position in June of this year. So Ben and Sankalp.
What a beautiful, beautiful day. Hi, Dad. Hi, Mum. Sorry.
Okay. Parents.
Here goes.
Parents.
Teachers.
Staff.
Friends.
Class of 15.
On this day of mixed emotions, we might be inclined to commemorate our own rite of passage, to revel in the glorious emptiness of our schedules and the freedom of the summer that beckons. But it would be unjust to focus simply on ourselves and neglect to mention the departure of another individual, distinct from members of the class of 2015, who will promptly also be absolved of his duties here.
The person to whom we are referring is Stephen Cox, chairman of the college's board of governors, who after 5 years of arduous and fruitful service steps down from his role in July. While we, the class of 2015, are of course familiar with the ups and downs that just 2 years at AC can present, we may only begin to imagine the twists and turns of the path Stephen has brilliantly mastered over the course of his chairmanship.
After leaving his home in Blackburn, as we are told, a lean, lanky, and eager teenager, to participate in the experiment in education our Atlantic College constitutes, Stephen graduated in 1965, going on to pursue a degree in geography. Stephen subsequently charted his own adventurous course around the planet, working in Poland, Ghana, Togo, and Bolivia with the British Council, the Commonwealth Institute, and as chief executive of the Royal Society.
When Stephen took up the reins of the board in 2010, he brought his considerable expertise to the college to set out the strategic vision of how to expand its reach and augment its impact. Overseeing the creation of the Atlantic Diploma, the planning of the college's largest ever capital investment program, and the visits of, among others, guests Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II and Queen Nora of Jordan. Stephen has seen many of his initial objectives met. Moreover, at a personal level, for us, his signing off on the first student representation to the Board of Governors last year marked Stephen's own keen engagement with the issues affecting the student body he once formed part of.
It goes without saying that under Stephen, the college has grown into a more financially secure and more prosperous institution, ready with a clear sense of direction to enter into the next half-century of its lifetime with renewed confidence and vigour. Despite the many challenges that continue to confront AC and its staff and students, pastoral, educational, financial, Stephen leaves behind a college far stronger than the one he found 5 years ago. For his efforts and for the model of alumni engagement he embodies for us all, we are indebted to Stephen and are eternally grateful.
Thank you, Stephen. Here's to graduating a second time today, 50 years on.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for those very kind words, some of which were true. But it does give me the opportunity to thank Sankalp and Ben for all that they have done over the past year representing students on the board. We have really welcomed that element of the board meetings, and they have discharged their responsibilities incredibly seriously, and I think a credit to the whole of the student body. Just a couple more things for me to say, I think. First of all, I'm delighted to welcome back, actually, John Walmsley, who is looking so very healthy after his operation. And this gives me the opportunity to say thank you to him, to all his staff, both academic and support staff, for the sterling work that they do to ensure we continue to offer an excellent education and really are leaders in the UWC movement. I know I should thank most of all parents for entrusting their children, who of course are now adults, to our care. And particularly thank several people in the audience who are donors here today. Their generosity to the college is so important to enable us to pursue and continue to provide scholarships, to continue to invest in the education and in our infrastructure. And of course, the governors, all, including me, now I come to think of it, all give their time free and freely. And for that, I am very, very grateful. If you'd worked it out, actually, there are a lot of important anniversaries this year. The 800th anniversary of Magna Carta, the 200th anniversary of the Battle of Waterloo, and the 50th anniversary of me leaving this college. And of course, the last has got to be the most important. And since I just about remember 50 years ago what a wrench it was to depart with my suitcase, actually on a bus to Bridgend and then a train back to Blackburn, I understand what you're going through at this moment. I think the second years, I want to wish you all the best for the future. And I think of a famous quote from Isaac Newton, who said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." Now, this quote is often used, and the element in it that people always remember is standing on the shoulders of giants. But in fact, I think the most important element is seeing further. And that is what I think the education of Atlantic College gives us all, the ability to see further, to address issues and problems that we never thought we would even begin to think about, but we do. And I hope we have, in the last 2 years for the second years and still 1 more year to go for the first years, given you the opportunity to see further, and that you will continue to see further through a long and happy, fulfilled life. Good luck to you all, and thank you to all of you. All the best for the future.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Ben and Sankalp. Now it's my duty to announce the Dame Anita Roddick Award, which goes to a student or students who have given a huge amount to the college over their time here. Dame Anita Roddick was a successful British businesswoman and entrepreneur, a human rights activist, an environmental campaigner, best known as founder of The Body Shop, a cosmetics company producing and retailing beauty products that shaped ethical consumerism. This prestigious annual award, presented annually, as you would expect, my speechwriter, you see, recognises a graduating student who best demonstrates Dame Anita Roddick's dual beliefs of I'm an activist and take it personally. It is awarded to a student who has shown great initiative and made a positive difference in a global setting, whether it is environmental, ecological or human rights, and who has done something to improve a life and or to right a wrong which makes a significant change for the good of the world, and this often in a quiet and unassuming way. If we were to make a list of the contributions made by the following two students to our community, it would be a long one. Yet neither does what they do in a showy or ostentatious manner. They are the sort of people who quietly get on with things. They are the type who start helping before being asked and show true generosity of spirit to all around them. They are leaders because they lead by example, and they are role models because they genuinely are the sorts of people others want to emulate. So there's two students being awarded the award today. The first student has been described by her house parent as one of the most important members of the house in the last 2 years. She has endless energy, a positive view, and an honest interest in everyone. Through language reps and news flash, she demonstrated her commitment to her fellow students. In the deepest tragedy that could happen in a student house community, she remained strong and showed a sensitive understanding to others as a peer listener. Since she realised the importance of mental health issues, she put a lot of energy in helping to organise a mental health focus week for fellow students and a whole college forum to discuss issues. She has experienced tragedy, disappointment and illness and still kept her academics on the highest level. She's a shining star wherever she goes. The second student, in the words of her house parent and tutor, this student is simply a wonderful human being. She's sunny and bright, modest and unpretentious. She'll have a go at anything, and so many students look up to her and follow her example. She really creates a positive and supportive atmosphere around her and truly embodies the AC spirit, as she is genuinely interested in all her fellow students and makes everyone feel good or better about themselves. As house rep, language rep, curriculum rep, and a member of the a cappella, Amnesty Street Theatre and Music Therapy, she's been a busy girl and has always flown the flag for Wales. I quote her house parent. This might sound very cheesy, but if she was my daughter, I would be bursting with pride for everything she does and for the massive smile she has on her face when she is doing it. The Dame Anita Roddick Award this year goes to Lucy Miles and Catherine Harris. Well done. A popular choice, I think. I'm now going to ask Dave Booker, our Vice Principal Curriculum, to present the Harvard Book Prize.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And for a moment, we need to turn our attention now to first years. Because every year, it's a great pleasure to award the Harvard Book Prize. The citation is this: the prize is awarded to an outstanding student in the penultimate year, academically excellent, with exceptional personal qualities, who makes a significant contribution to school or community. This year we had 12 nominations from the faculty staff, and each one of those nominations could have received this prize, but there is one who has. I'm just going to run down, if you don't mind, a series of embarrassing statements about this person. Outstanding student, academically very strong, on course, I have to say, for 45 points. Upbeat and always helpful. That's the least of it, by the way, at Atlantic College. Upbeat and always helpful, a member of the Curtin group, and therefore someone who understands the core mission of the college. Balanced, pleasant, positive, and humble. head of the Peace Council and a key student position in the college. He represented our global faculty in the UK Parliament on a recent visit. He's a member of Ashoka, our change maker partners. He's a leader of key mission-based activities, and he's very much a respected member of this community. And I'd like to read one quotation from a member of staff who excitedly, I think, said, "Incredible kid, strong in class, friendly, and everywhere involved positively in the community, but in a self-effacing way." So, 2015, the Harvard Book Prize goes to Colton Bishop.
Well done indeed, Colton. Now I'm going to introduce Catherine and Liam, who are going to sing and play for you.
No? Me? Yeah, okay. And this?
Stop.
Okay, well, I guess this is all quite emotional. And as John just said, every member of this community, every member of our class of 2015 has made a massive contribution. And I know me and Lucy just won an award, but I think I can say, like, on behalf of both of us, anyone could have won that award. And it's been all of our contributions to this community that have made it what it is, and have, in a cheesy lead-in, built our home. So, I mean, the line of the song is that now it's time to leave, and that is true. But I think the home that we've built between each other and between ourselves won't leave ever. So this is for you guys. There is a house built out of stone, wooden floors, walls, and window sills, tables and chairs worn by all of the dust. This is a place where I don't feel alone. This is a place where I feel at home. 'Cause I built a home for you, for me, until it disappeared from me, from you. And now it's time to leave and turn to dust. Out in the garden where we planted our seed, there lies a tree as old as me. Branches were sown by the color of green. Ground had a rose frozen past its knees. By the cracks of the skin, I climbed to the top. I climbed the tree to see the world. And when the gusts came along to blow me down, I held on as tightly as you held on to me. I held on as tightly as you held on to me. 'Cause I built a home for you, for me, until it disappeared from me. From you, and now it's time to leave and turn to dust. Cause I built a home for you, for me, until it disappeared from you, from me. And now it's time to leave and turn to dust.
Catherine and Liam, thank you very much, Catherine and Liam. I'm now going to ask Lucy Miles and Julia Fleming Dresser to come up and speak to you in remembrance of Colin.
This is a poem, and it's called When Love Arrives, and it was written by Phil and Sarah Kay, but they're not actually related. I knew exactly what love looked like in 7th grade.
Even though I hadn't met Love yet, if Love had wandered into my homeroom, I would have recognized him at first glance. Love wore a hemp necklace.
I would have recognized her at first glance. Love wore a tight French braid.
Love played acoustic guitar and knew all my favorite Beatles songs.
Love wasn't afraid to ride the bus with me. And I knew.
I just must be searching the wrong classrooms.
Just must be checking the wrong hallways. She was there. I was sure of it.
If only I could find him.
But when love finally showed up, she had a bow cut.
He wore the same clothes every day for a week.
Love hated the bus.
And Love didn't know anything about the Beatles.
Instead, every time I tried to kiss Love, our teeth got in the way.
Love became the reason I lied to my parents.
I'm going to Ben's house?
Love had terrible rhythm on the dance floor, but made sure we never missed a slow song.
Love used to wait by the phone because she knew if her father picked up, it would be,
Hello? Hello? I guess they hung up.
And love grew.
Stretched like a trampoline.
Love changed.
Love disappeared slowly, like baby teeth, losing parts of me I thought I needed.
Love vanished, like an amateur magician. And everyone could see the trapdoor but me.
Like a flat tire, there were other places I planned on going, but my plans didn't matter. Love stayed away for years, and when Love finally reappeared, I barely recognized him.
Love smelled different now. Had darker eyes.
A broader back. Love had freckles that I barely recognized.
New birthmarks. A softer voice.
Now there were new sleeping patterns.
New favorite books.
Love had songs that reminded him of someone else.
Songs Love didn't like to listen to.
So did I.
But we found a park bench that fit us perfectly.
We found jokes that made us both laugh.
And now, Love makes me fresh homemade chocolate chip cookies.
But Love will probably finish most of them for a midnight snack.
Love looks great in lingerie, but still likes to wear her retainer.
Love is a terrible driver, but a great navigator.
Love knows where she's going. It'll just take her 2 hours longer than planned to get there.
Love is messier now.
Not as simple.
Love uses the word boobs in front of my parents.
Love chews too loud.
Love leaves the cap off the toothpaste.
Love uses smiley faces in her text messages.
And turns out,
Love shits.
But Love also cries, and Love will tell you that you are beautiful.
And mean it.
Over and over again.
You are beautiful. When you first wake up.
You are beautiful. When you've just been crying.
You are beautiful. When you really don't want to hear it.
You are beautiful. And when you don't want to believe it.
You are beautiful.
Love still thinks you are beautiful.
But love is not perfect. And will sometimes forget.
When you need to hear it the most.
You are beautiful. Do not forget this. Love is not who you were expecting. And love is not who you can predict.
Maybe Love is in New York City, already asleep. Maybe you are in California, Australia, and you're wide awake. Maybe Love is just always in a different time zone.
Maybe love is just not ready for you. Maybe you are not ready for love.
Maybe Love just isn't the marrying type.
Maybe the next time you see Love is 20 years after the divorce. Love is older now, but still just as beautiful as you remembered.
Maybe Love is only there for a month.
Maybe Love is there for every firework, every birthday party, every hospital visit.
Maybe Love stays.
Maybe love doesn't.
Maybe love shouldn't.
Lovely arrives exactly when love is supposed to. And love leaves exactly when love must.
When love arrives, say,
Welcome.
Make yourself comfortable.
And when love leaves, tell her to leave the door open behind her.
Turn off the music. Listen to the quiet.
Whisper.
Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, Lucy and Julia. Thank you. I inadvertently got the order wrong there, so I apologise to Isabel George, who is now going to come up and give the first year address.
Hello. Looking out at you all now, I think I can certainly say that we all look a little bit different to when we all first met in August. First years, we somehow got rid of those terrified, awkward, and nervous expressions from our faces. And all of you lovely, lovely second years. You certainly look a little bit less intimidating without your faces covered in paint, and you're also a little bit more quiet without those pots and pans in your hands. But your smiles are the same. And those smiles are what us first years have come to love over this year. I know I speak on behalf of all your terrified, awkward, and nervous first years when I say, we sure are going to miss you. You led us off those buses and into the AC bubble, which we soon found ourselves adapting to without even realizing it. When we went home at Christmas, non-communal showers seemed lonely. And being able to find a clean pan to cook some pasta in seemed like, much to the amusement of my mother, like a miracle. You learn how to live under the same roof as 50 other teenagers from 50 other corners of the world. And perhaps more importantly, you learn exactly what aim to take when throwing a pillow at your dorm mate who's snoring louder than that Nash Point foghorn. It wasn't long before you taught us first years the AC lingo, that to the outside world, I know it probably sounds a little bit odd. Potatoes, committees, and the word bonding are never going to have quite the same connotations. And yet it wasn't just the AC lingo that you taught us first years. You were all so wonderfully, wonderfully diverse, and not only in terms of nationalities. It's because you are all so different that from each and every one of you, us first years have gained something unique. And for that, again, we thank you. You welcomed us into your homes, these 7 crazy houses on this campus, with names that I couldn't originally read, let alone pronounce. The AC spirit is something that's pretty hard to define, but from the start, it has been apparent in you second years. Apparent in your banging pots and pans and in your smiling faces, but most of all apparent in the way that you treated one another, and the way that you treated us. You set the tone, and you showed us simply how to be here at AC. And I think the way that we all now interact, it reflects the heart of that AC spirit. Thanks to you second years, next year we too will do the same, and pay it forward and pass on that AC spirit that I think is such a shaping factor to our 2 years here. And the best part about this passing on of the AC spirit was that it happened so naturally, almost like osmosis or something like that. I'm sorry, I take E-systems, not biology. We're also really grateful for everything that you have given to AC, not just to our year, but for all the years to come. New initiatives like the TEDx conference or the Atlantic Banquet, which are both absolutely amazing student-initiated, organized, and run events that are now part of AC life for future generations. From sneaking a third dessert in the canteen past Jeanette, to actually passing your IBs, your achievements as individuals and as a year group are truly amazing. When I told my friends back home that I was going to a boarding school in a castle in the UK, naturally many of them had the reaction, Hogwarts? And I've learned that this is a pretty magical place, so perhaps they weren't so wrong. After all, Hogwarts will always be there to welcome you home. And I think the same could be said for Atlantic College. Of course, AC is much more than just a magical castle on the Bristol Channel. And although it wasn't spells or potions, what you did learn over your 2 years here, it was pretty cool. And I don't mean those 6 IB subjects that you took. I mean what you learned from the people that are sitting around you right now. From service, from conferences, from communal showers, and from 2 a.m. conversations in day rooms before getting kicked out by night porters. And sorry, Andy. Hold on to what you've learned about yourself, about each other, and about the world. Because as Henry said earlier, your UWC experience does not end here. Live with a little bit of AC spirit, and I'm sure that some magic is bound to happen. And we all can't wait to hear your stories when it does. Regardless of whether you're at university, or at home, or in some faraway corner of this world on a gap year next year, then there is something that I would like to ask you all to remember. I wake up each morning to a quote written above my bed in Dorm 11 by some past AC student. It's a quote from none other than Kurt Hahn, and it says, "There is more in you than you think." And I want you all to remember that. Remember everything that you've achieved during your time here at AC, because those little achievements and the bigger ones, they all accumulate to show how strong you all are, and however much you underestimate yourself, you really can do whatever you set out to. And should you ever forget this, our year is always going to be here to remind you. We'll forever be your first years, and always be full of admiration love, and probably a little bit of awe for you all. Please keep in touch while you're out there making magic happen. And finally, one last thank you. Because if there's one thing that I've learned this year, it's that revision by osmosis doesn't work. But the AC Spirit by osmosis most certainly does. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. Thank you. And now it's time for the Leavers Acknowledgement, and I ask Nick Lush, our Vice Principal Pastoral, to come up and take this forward. Thank you.
Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Belle just mentioned that Court Hahn had said there's more in you than you think. Looking out at you lot this afternoon, I think there was more in your wardrobe than you think, because I just kind of not used to seeing you looking so smart. But actually, Court Hahn was, of course, right. It is always amazes me how students just grow over 2 years, how much they change, how much they learn, how much stronger they become, how much more courage they gain in the time here. I think we've all seen a little bit of what Atlantic College can offer this afternoon. I mean, when I think back to when I was 17 and 18, had I seen the video of something like today, it would have scared me. You know, where do these people come from? And I've been teaching here a very long time, and I'm hugely appreciative and still in awe of the sorts of students that come and, in fact, leave Atlantic College. It's great that we had 3 people gaining these fabulous awards, but in a sense, something that Catherine said is absolutely right, and that is that they are 3 people, but there are many, many students in this room who have done fabulous things, wonderful things, contributed much to our community, showed huge compassion, huge care, and I think somehow we need to acknowledge them. We would be here all night if we acknowledged every single person. But what I would like to do is kind of acknowledge people on a house-by-house basis. We have 7 houses plus a house for Madiba, which is for the IGCSE students down at the seafront, and each house has a spirit. As second years will know, they did not randomly end up in the house in which they find themselves. Right now, we cannot say why they are there, because first years need to wait until August to find out why they are in the house they were put in. So, what I'd like to do, without further ado, is to ask each house to stand up separately, and I'd like you all to give them a round of applause. I'm going to start with PK. Please, PK, second years, stand up. And going geographically around the campus, I think the next house is Morganuk. And Powys. Gwynedd. Whitaker. Tice. Sunny. I doubt if there's anybody here from Madiba, but actually they were the most well-behaved house all year. So I think we need a big clap for Madiba. Thank you.
Time now for the second year address, and I ask Arijit Narurka to stand and give us that.
Hi. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, staff, students, arthropods, invertebrates, and superheroes. By that I mean the donors, of course. I'm honored with the privilege of speaking on behalf and to the UWC Atlantic College graduating class of 2015. Thank you. My name is Arijit. I've lived the majority of my life in Mumbai, India. But I was born in Pennsylvania. Plot twist. Personally, my story of coming to AC was fortuitous, to say the least. I was in a perfectly satisfying, study-intensive school for my whole 9 years in Mumbai. My older sister heard of UWC through university friends, so I took a long shot and applied. One thing led to another, and I ended up staring intriguingly at a massive herd of sheep in rural Wales with 2 bags in my hand and an Indian flag in my back pocket. I came to AC because it was one of the first 3 IB schools, because its teachers were said to be immaculate. Because I'm not saying anything. Because it would be a stepping stone to university, what we all aspire to go to. AC was a disappointment. Forgive me if I speak a bit personally, but I'm really speaking generally. It's a narrative technique. In my first week at Atlantic College, I made friends with a Nigerian 2 feet taller than me. I spent each night in my dorm as the only person sleeping with clothes on. I engaged in politically incorrect conversations with a wildly inappropriate house parent. I bruised my right arm and left knee jumping over a seafront wall in an attempt to catch a flying frisbee. I tried explaining to all Europeans that I don't sound like a certain Simpsons character. And I even satisfied my parents' absolute nightmare of showering with 4 other boys at the same time. These little anecdotes were the appetizers to what would be a roller coaster main course. Nevertheless, AC was a disappointment. My world changed. I changed. In the last 4 terms, I couldn't pick up a plate at the canteen without pondering the implications of eating meat on the society around me. I managed a brief chat with each person on campus at least once. I heard stories from someone staying a couple of feet away from me, stories that journalists would travel thousands of miles to get a hold of. I established a relationship with my teachers at a level of close friendship because they were that welcoming to us students. I can even thrillingly and ironically say I became more Indian after coming here. Something about UWC enhances the culture you have in your own country. This would never be the case back home for me. In India, we consider it an insult to be told you're 1 in a million because we think it means that there's 1,250 people out there just like you. But that's not the case here. No matter where you're from or how bland you think you are, no matter where you're from or how bland you think you are unique at AC. But still, AC was a disappointment. As a community, we've been through so much in just a couple of years. We debated world issues on a regular basis. We fought for large causes at a somewhat local level. We showered each other in putrid water as a birthday celebration. We sang songs. We adapted to Welsh culture. We expressed our own cultures. We lost a friend. A few months later, we made 175 new friends. I never thought I'd see the day when I would play Holi and throw colors in a group of 100 people from all around the world. When I would witness Her Majesty herself standing a few feet away from me. When I would write a speech so long that I would be flipping onto a second page. AC was a disappointment. It was a disappointment in one way and one way only. I came to AC hoping to become more independent, more self-reliant. But at the end of my 2 years here, it hasn't worked out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not independent because I feel I cannot leave this community. After all the time we've spent with each other, as one big, chaotic, ridiculous, entertaining whole. We spoke, we learned, we understood, we bonded. We studied, played, challenged, and bonded. Danced, sang, partied, bonded. Smiled, cried, laughed, bonded. Shared, sympathized, graduated, and bonded. We connected, we loved, we bonded. To the staff, what else can we say but thank you? Thank you for pushing us to go to classes even with a 12-hour jet lag. Thank you for keeping a watch on us after check-in and playing the tag with the lucky few who managed to get out of their houses. Thank you for sending us emails saying we can't go home if we don't have enough money in our college bank. Thank you for guiding us through this awkward stage of premature adulthood. Thank you. To the lovable newborn first years, I'll say it loud and clear. Go to the Zumba lessons. They're great fun. I mean, dance and exercise all in one. What more could you ask for? What I mean, of course, is use your time here to do the things you couldn't do anywhere else with anyone else. I'm not suggesting you shouldn't work, but manage the time you devoted to procrastinating to do things you would probably miss after leaving a year from now. On behalf of the second years, we've been so privileged to show you AC life. And we've shared an unparalleled year with you. But it's now time for you to take charge. It will be painful. I kid, of course. It's very painfully rewarding. It's been a pleasure to be your seniors. We love you. Go to Zumba. Finally, to the break a leg, see no evil, seize the day, rock'em, sock'em, show must go on. You only live once, no holes barred. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious second years. What can I say? I'll be entirely frank, I was not successful in verbalizing my thoughts for this part of my speech. So naturally, I approached my politically correct house parent, and I don't think she could elucidate my idea any more perfectly. My dearest, humblest, magnanimous second years, sharing an exquisitely bucolic campus with you for 2 whole years has been like smashing your head against a piñata. At first, it hurts, but by the time the chocolates start pouring out of the piñata, you realize how much it's been worth it. I'm on my 3rd page now. AC has been impressed deep into our bones. Walking to a beach and getting sand between your toes is a beautiful feeling when you're on holiday. Walking on wet sands in Wales is a bit different. It feels more like wet concrete. When it dries, you realize that there are bits of Welsh sand in every sock and shoe you own. We will carry each other around like grains of sand between our toes. We will not wipe it away like a bad case of athlete's foot. We will pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and welcome a new dawn. With the cherished memories, experiences, and escapades of our spell at UWC Atlantic College. On behalf of the second years to the school and the school to the second years, thank you for an experience that beats any World Cup final, any Eurovision contest, any roast of Justin Bieber. I'll end on a quote by Dr. Seuss. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Arijit. I think you will probably realise that one of the greatest difficulties of being the principal of a place like this is trying to make a speech after a student has made a speech. But before I say my final words, I want to acknowledge the staff who are leaving us. They will be acknowledged again tomorrow at the Leavers Dinner. But the people who are leaving us this year are Adam Steinberg, Stephanie Steinberg, Jeff Mayo, Gareth Tarbert, Nasser Fathi, and Haywood is leaving boarding but not leaving the community. Two years have now passed, and you, our second years, are about to move on to the next stage of your lives. You will leave on the buses on Sunday evening or Monday morning, and you will set off back to Uganda, to Haiti, to Japan, Mongolia, or Swansea. It will be emotional and there will be tears, but you will stay connected and you will become a member of a very special group of people, the UWC alumni. Can you remember how you felt back in August 2013 when you arrived to the cacophony of the welcome by your second years? The bond between them and you became strong, and then you welcomed your first years in 2014, and they in turn will welcome their first years this coming August. These bonds of friendship will be lifelong, and when you do meet up again, sometimes after many years, it will be as if no time has passed. And how do you feel now? Relief, I expect, at finishing your exams, mixed with disbelief that the 2 years are over. I was interviewing an Italian girl for the pre-IB yesterday in my office when an Italian student, Theo I think, ran out the door by my office and off along the path to the Arts Centre, shouting, "I'm free," at the top of his voice. You will take away many memories of Atlantic College. The beauty of its setting, the ever-changing Bristol Channel, daily life in a real castle, genuine stalactites on the ceiling in the science block, long conversations in your dorms, pivotal moments in a class, a conference, or a service activity. Most of all, I hope you will remember the people you met and the relationships you made here, your housemates, your classmates, the members of your service teams, your house parents, your teachers, the people who serve your food, clean your houses, and maintain the buildings and grounds, the medical staff, and all the support staff. I know you will remember Colin and how you came together to support each other at that time. You've been exposed to many differences in culture, religion, and background, but I'm sure that you will have embraced the common ground that you have with different cultures, people, and nations, and I hope that education has been a force that did unite you. It's not an easy option, being a student at a United World College. There are many demands on your time, and you're an extraordinarily creative group of young people who are always finding new things in which to involve yourselves. A UWC education is not a 2-year course, but an ignition point for a lifetime. My greatest hope is that whatever career you go into, and you must make sure that you are in control of that career choice, you become change makers in whichever way you can, in your communities or in the wider world. I hope you will continue to challenge the status quo, assumptions, and authorities, as you've done here, wherever you find yourself. The world can be a better place. I'm sure you will come back and visit us. I'm sure you will meet up at reunions. I'm also sure that as alumni, you will continue to advise us, and we value that advice as we try to develop our offering here at Atlantic College. In the meantime, enjoy this weekend and the long summer ahead, and I will leave you with the words of George Fox, the founder of Quakerism, spoken in 1656. Be patterns, be examples in all countries, places, islands, nations, wherever you come, that your carriage and life may preach among all sorts of people and to them. Then you will come to walk cheerfully over the world, answering that of God in everyone. In a minute, I'm going to ask the first years to lead us out for a guard of honour for our second years. I just want to tell you about one or two things that are happening. At 5:30, there will be a boat naming ceremony at the Arts Centre, just outside the arch there. This is naming the new boat that's just been designed as a tsunami rescue boat. And while I'm mentioning that, I just want to read out something to you that I'm sure will be of interest to the students who've been involved with this, but also to all the students, all the alumni who've been involved with boat building over the years. We are very pleased to announce that we will be awarded the prestigious Engineering Heritage Award from the Institution of Mechanical Engineers for the design of the RIB. The building, testing, refining by the staff and students of Atlantic College, the gift of the patent to the RNLI for the humanitarian saving of lives, and the global contribution to rescue, recreational and commercial marine activity. The key element is the restoration, exhibition and use of the original RIB, Naomi, and the implementation of the tsunami rescue boat that we are currently involved in. Previous winners have been Tower Bridge, London, the Channel Tunnel, the Bessemer Converter, the Bletchley Park Bomb, the Jaguar E-Type, Concorde, among other amazing pieces. We will be awarded a red plaque that will be displayed at the seafront on the boathouse next to Naomi, and the formal presentation of the award by the institution will take place in coming months. We are immensely grateful to the institution for this award and know that this is tremendous recognition to all who have worked on the boats over the last 53 years. So that's a wonderful achievement for all those people over the last 50 years or so who have worked on designing, building, maintaining and driving boats out here in the fairly treacherous waters of the Bristol Channel. So after the Guard of Honour and after we've all led out, there'll be the boat naming ceremony. Then there'll be a buffet supper on the second lawn for staff and students. That's the lawn down below. And at 6 o'clock, there is a parents' buffet in the dining hall. Thank you very much for coming this afternoon. And can I ask Christian Cordon to lead out the first years from the back? Thank you very much. Second years, sorry. If second years can come out this way, if second years can come out this way and parents would follow them. Thank you.
Ha ha ha.